watching FJTN, the Federal Judicial Television Network. Coming up on Court to Court.
When the thinkers and doers, the task and people-oriented people start working together, you can see the divide developing.
This is Court to Court, your connection to what's happening in the federal courts around the country, providing information and ideas that will enhance your job and how the courts function. Now with today's program, Michael Burney.
On our last program, we brought you a segment about improving interpersonal communication. Management consultant Joel Freeman had spoken at a bankruptcy court conference and stressed the importance of understanding different styles of communication. Your response to that segment was very positive. And so, backed by popular demand, here's more of Freeman's insights into dealing with people who drive you crazy.
Joel Freeman says that one of the key differences in communication styles is whether someone is oriented toward tasks or people. In his presentation at the Bankruptcy Court Managers Conference, Freeman compared communication style to a car. Some folks go faster and some slower. Sometimes difficulties occur when people with different styles work together.
These folks are going 150 miles per hour toward the task. Ever met someone like that? You just, they cut that thing cranked right over, to the pedal to the metal. And if you work for them, if you work with them, if you are them, it is a challenge. And if you are them, it is important to understand the perception that other people may have of you as an individual. Can you imagine working for someone who's 150 miles per hour toward the task, and you're 55 miles per hour toward people? Can you imagine how the perceptions of each other are? I mean, it's funny. It's crazy. If you're 55, 60 miles per hour toward the task, and you are a person that it takes more time to describe what the job is, so you end up being a person who can't delegate very well because you can do it quicker than it takes time to explain it. And so you end up being a person that's just going around doing everything, then you get frazzled and you say, I just feel like an automaton.
Difficulties also can occur when people-oriented individuals move faster than those around them.
If you're 150 miles per hour toward people, it's like, too much information. Hi, how are you? You know, just enter a room mouth first. Dominate a meeting. You know, overwhelm people with so much yip-yap and talk so much of the time, perhaps, that what happens is that it causes people to shut down.
One part of the people-oriented group are influencers. They are outgoing and intuitive.
All these new bright ideas are just pouring through them, and sometimes they feel like it's a curse. And they just can't seem to turn the tap off because all these ideas are flowing in them constantly. Do they implement them? Rarely. And sometimes when they bring it up, people say, oh, you're the one with the idea, you ought to do it. It's the worst thing you can say to them. Because then they shut down, they don't want to bring their idea up anymore. These individuals, they love achievement and recognition and these types of things. Some of the things that turn them off, the things that turn them off are lack of enthusiasm, indifference to their plans, and those types of issues.
Freeman believes that all of us would be wise to understand the styles of those with whom we work.
I find sometimes when you have a very dominant supervisor, for instance, and someone who's more process-oriented, more process-people-oriented individual, that individual sometimes gets their feelings hurt. They then sometimes go to the boss 3 or 4 days later, and they say, you don't know how much I've been crying about this, or I've been thinking about this, and the boss is going, what are you talking about? I don't understand what planet you're from. What happens is someone who understands this information can begin to say, you know, I am not going to take this personally. I believe this has to do more with the way this individual is wired. So every time I communicate with them, I'm going to communicate them on terms that they understand and are needing to hear.
That's not always easy to do, and it means being attentive to the other person's communication style.
When the thinkers and doers, the task and people-oriented people start working together, you can see the divide developing. And that's why it takes so much effort and so much intentional effort to keep trying to put yourself in the shoes of that other person.
One set of shoes belongs to folks Freeman calls steady.
Many times the clash that develops is steady individuals. These are folks that are looking for the easiest way to get something done, not the quickest way. Now, I hasten to add, these are not lazy people. It's just that these folks look around and they see all these people with the veins popping out of their neck marching toward a coronary heart disease problem. And they say, you know, I like my job, but they don't pay me enough to die early. I am going to superintend my stamina, my time, like a long-distance runner, and I'll pace myself for the long haul.
By long haul, Freeman means a career spanning decades.
So what happens is these folks, the steady individuals, are looking to slow down the pace because you know what? They know one thing. They figured it out early. No one is going to slow the pace down for them. It's always going to be coming in full bore, full pipeline of new things to do next week, the following week, and so you have to kind of set things at a certain pace. And so steady individuals, their key value is they cooperate with others, but they want to make sure that others feel good about the process and feel good about the relationships. They're turned on by closeness and affirmation and kindness. They're turned off by insensitivity and people who push and people who have a hidden agenda and people who use their positions, positional authority. Dominant person says, I want this in my office. I want this report done by 3:30 Friday. That's 2 days from now. I want it done. I want it this thick. I want all the graphs, statistics, everything done. You know what the steady person says? I'll see what we can do. What don't you want me to do in order to get that accomplished?
Among task-oriented individuals, Freeman says, are the correctness folks, who are very analytical.
These are individuals that when they get going, I'll tell you, they are the most incredible, detail-oriented people. In fact, you get in a problem-solving session, and this individual will start the meeting off with Adam and Eve. 4 hours later, they've worked their way up to the Renaissance in describing the history of this particular problem. The ID people are saying, get me out of here. I never want to be in another meeting where this person starts. But this is the gift that they bring. And they bring so much insight and so much information. And these folks, you know what their goal is? It's not the quickest way. It's not the funnest way. It's not the easiest way. It's the hardest way. It is very difficult being an analytical person because no one can be harder on yourself than you yourself. And the whole thing is that they want to be able to promote quality in service. And that's really what drives them. They say, hey, wait a minute, folks. Time out. We're in a meeting here. This eye over here has got a helium balloon filled with the bright ideas. I got a pin behind my back. In 23 seconds, I can ask 2 questions that'll pop that balloon. The eye views the analytical person as a negative, nitpicky person, when really the negative, nitpicky person, as they're perceived by the eye, by the influencer, is really someone that says, hey, folks, hey, listen, before we start investing our time, our energy, and our resources, let's make sure we're going in the right direction. Do we have our ladder up against the right wall? Because if we get to the top and we realize we're against the wrong building or wrong wall, I mean, just think of all the waste that's gone on here. So that's really what drives them. When you see the dominant person, what drives them is, folks, we're just paid to work. Let's work and get the job done. Influencers are saying, folks, listen, let's have fun while we're working. Let's enjoy what we're doing. Let's recognize people who have really achieved around here. The steady folks are saying, listen, I just want to make sure that I'm part of an organization where there's genuine relationships developing. The correctness folks, the analytical folks are saying, listen, please, I just want to be a part of an organization's quality.
Freeman says that all of these folks are part of each organization and that all of them are needed.
I just love to see competent people enhance their interpersonal skills so that they can become more promotable and more valuable to the organization and to themselves.
That's Court to Court for this time.